is All For You Stories. Real stories to get you to think different so you can act different. Let's go. Infinity. So she the one, huh? Tyrone skeptically questioned as he wiped down the counter. Yep, Brandon stated confidently. And you know this just because you can feel it, huh? Tyrone's voice oozed disbelief, and Brandon could feel it. He knew this would be a waste of time, but he answered anyway. Yep. Tyrone stopped wiping and turned towards Brandon. He sucked air in his nose and let it out in one long sigh. This is the craziest mess I ever heard. You can't see no girl and automatically know she's the one you're supposed to kick it with for the rest of your life. Man, that only happened in movies, and this ain't no movie. Brandon waved his hand to dismiss him. He turned to go do something else, but Tyrone continued. You're always talking about some kind of feeling you got. Brandon could not believe he allowed himself to get caught up in this again. He thought back to a couple of months ago when he tried telling Tyrone about God, and he laughed at him. Brandon decided sharing the word with Tyrone just wouldn't happen. But eventually, his pastor changed his mind by explaining how some people may not be ready for God just because you are ready. A customer entered and brought an end to their conversation. Brandon helped the customer, but his thoughts were split between working the register and the girl he saw in church. Something about her had a hold of him. She was pretty, in fact beautiful, but it was more than that. Something about her connected with him, a connection he couldn't deny, a connection he didn't want to deny. The customer tried to hand him the money, but Brandon did not open the register. The lady waited but became impatient and waved her hand in front of his face. Hello, are you there? He snapped out of his trance and made the transaction. The lady took her receipt, and Brandon went to check on the order. Tyrone picked right back up. Real talk, B. You can't live your whole life on feelings. And that's why I can't be down with that church stuff you be hollering. For me to be down, I have to know something is true. Not just feel it. I gotta know. Brandon started to say something back, but didn't. Instead, his mind went back to what he learned in a class at church. He said a quick prayer, then asked, so you can explain to me how the internet works? What about your cell phone? What about that grill right there? How does that get hot when you just push a button? I bet you can't explain it, just like I can't explain it. Just because I can't explain it doesn't mean it's not real. Tyrone started to respond but stopped himself. Brandon continued. Answer this for me. How come you switched your shift at work? You know why I switched. I switched so I could be home when Tamika come home. You switched because you love your daughter and you want to be with her. People can call you a lot of things. Immature, foolish, ashy, plump, dumb. Tyrone cut him off. Fool, shut up. I'm just clowning, but for reals. People can call you a lot of stuff, but no matter what, they know you a good father. Tyrone nodded in agreement. Now what if somebody asked you to prove that you love her? What would you say? Once again, Tyrone paused. He started to try to explain, but Brandon cut him off. You don't have to explain it to me because I already know. Just like you know. You know because you know. You may not have the perfect words, but you still know. The shift soon ended. The guys replacing them arrived, and both Tyrone and Brandon got their things and left. They walked in the parking lot and were about to go their separate ways when Brandon asked, have you thought about what I said earlier? Tyrone lied. Not really. You will. It just works like that. If you open your eyes, there'll be something to let you know that I'm telling the truth. All right, B. I'll open my eyes and I'll look for a sign that God loves me just like I love Tamika. Nah, man, it's much more than that. It's much more than you love Tamika. You got to multiply that times 100. Not even that, B. Try infinity. Tyrone made the 10-mile drive home, where his daughter greeted him at the door with a big hug. His mother gave him the report on the day's events and what still needed to be done. We did some of our homework, but I couldn't figure out that internet, so we just stopped. We got through just about everything else, though, but she still got a little left. Tyrone got himself a snack and sat down to help Tamika. She needed to write some sentences for some words, including one she didn't know. What is a la la ma? She asked. He did not know what she meant and looked at the word himself. No, baby, that's a llama. No, it's not. It's a llama because it has two L's. I know it has two L's, but one of them is silent. It's kind of like a horse. Let me show you. He pulled out his phone and pulled up a picture of a llama. See, it looks like this. She looked at the picture and frowned. That don't look like no horse. That looks like a camel. He looked at the picture and agreed. Yeah, I think you're right. And how'd you get that picture on your phone like that? I Googled it, he responded. What's a Google? It's something you can do when you have the internet. Gmo said something about the internet. How do the internet work? Tyrone could not do nothing but smile. They finished up the sentences and got to the math. It took longer than it seemed necessary. They had to do much more than just figure out the answer to basic multiplication problems. They had to explain how they got the answer and why they got the answer. Tyrone understood his mother's frustration, but they eventually got through it. When they finished, Tamika slammed the book shut and wrapped her arms around Tyrone's neck. Thank you, Daddy. You the smartest person in the whole world. I love you. I love you more, he responded. I love you 10 times more, she said. I love you 100 times more, he replied. Well, I love you infinity, she concluded. Tyrone's eyes opened. Thank you for listening. Please like us, meet us on social media to talk about it, then do what needs to get done. Peace.